We dedicate this episode of Did You Hear to art you can check out. That's right, we have prints of famous works of art at the Central Resource Library. Use them to study or simply change up the aesthetics of any room. The MakerSpace crew drops by to chat. But first, Dave Carson sits down with Ashley Fick, Diane Haner, and Amanda Wahlmeier to discuss our In Memory of 6 Million event.
Welcome to the Did You Hear podcast, the official Johnson County Library podcast where we tell you about what's happening and what we recommend. And when we are talking about what's happening, it's usually events that we have to offer here at the library. And today we're going to talk about a very special event called In Memory of 6 Million. And I have three folks from the library here to discuss this event with us. So let's begin with introductions. Sitting to my left, we have...
I'm Amanda Wahlmeier. I'm the local history librarian here for the library.
I'm Ashley Fick. I'm a civic engagement librarian for the library.
I'm Diane Haner. I'm an information specialist at the Corinth Neighborhood Library.
Well, welcome to you all. So I understand that this is an annual event in memory of 6 million, and it observes Yom HaShoah? Is that
Yes, Yom HaShoah.
Yom HaShoah. And this is the Holocaust Remembrance Day. So please tell us about this event.
Well, the first one we had was in 2011, and it was started originally, actually, I take it back, like 2010 or 2009, we had like 2 or 3 programs about the Holocaust, and my manager suggested that we turn that into an annual event. And at that time, I suggested that we have it around Holocaust Remembrance Day, which is generally the end of April, beginning of May. So the first program of that series was 2011, and we've had it every year since then around the same time of year.
So are you the originating force for this?
I was the one that first started it.
What's changed over the years?
Well, I discovered pretty quickly that what gets the most people are personal stories. We started off with having discussions, watching films, and that worked well when we had one in conjunction with the book group. But when it was just have a film and have a discussion, there weren't as many people that showed up. But when we had either a survivor speak or a child of a survivor, people were very much interested in personal stories.
And so this year, you have some special guests coming to present at the event.
Yes. Evie Tilzer is going to be speaking about her parents, Isaac and June Finesilver, who actually met during the Holocaust in the ghetto that they're both at. And they both miraculously survived and found each other after the war. Apparently, Isaac discovered that his wife was in a displaced persons camp at Bergen-Belsen, and he bicycled across Europe to be there to find her.
Wow, what a story.
Right. Well, and they moved, I believe it was in 1949 that they then moved to the United States and then to Kansas City. This is the first time that we've had someone speak where about both their parents. Usually it's we call it a second generation speaker. Usually they're speaking about one of their parents. So I'm really excited to hear about the experience of a couple that have gone through this together.
And so, Ashley and Amanda, what is going to be your role in all of this?
We just helped Diane put on her show.
Yeah.
It's a great program that she's been doing for a number of years, and we wanted to grow it as a library system and make sure that as many people as possible could hear these personal stories. We think it's really important.
Well, how has attendance been?
So last year we had over 150 people attend. Last year was the first year we had it at Central, right? Mm-hmm. So as this program has grown, we needed more space, and Central just offered that much more space than Corinth. And so we anticipate hopefully having at least that many again this year.
Oh, excellent. And so what age group?
Anywhere from teens all the way up through adults. Because of the subject matter, it's not necessarily for small children. Now, a lot of these speakers do go to schools, but then they would tailor their presentation for the school-age kids. This is for an adult audience. So while everyone is welcome, we want parents to know that it is a pretty intense subject matter.
In Memory of 6 Million, Tuesday, April 30th, 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Central Resource Library at the Carmack Community Room.
Hey, Amy.
Hey, Dave.
Did you hear about the attempted burglary at the museum?
No, I didn't. You say attempted?
Yes, he was not successful. The art thief was captured within 2 blocks of the museum. His van had run out of fuel. When asked what happened, the robber replied, "I had no money to buy the gas to make the van go."
You don't have to steal paintings by Monet, Degas, Van Gogh, or countless other artists. You can check out prints from the Central Resource Library.
Well, we have arrived at the We Recommend section, and we don't just recommend books. No. We recommend all sorts of different services here at the library, and one of the true gems of the library is the MakerSpace. But before we tell you exactly what a MakerSpace is, I'm going to have the folks that I have with me introduce themselves, starting at my left.
Hi, my name is Brian Ortel. I'm a MakerSpace facilitator here at the Johnson County Library.
Great, welcome.
Thank you.
Nick Ward-Bopp, also MakerSpace facilitator.
Hello, I'm Angelica Sandoval, and I am the new MakerSpace facilitator.
Woo!
And hi there, I'm Thomas, and I am a MakerSpace facilitator as well.
Well, welcome to you all, and it's so great that you are part of our library staff, because I know that you do a lot of work. Just what the heck is a MakerSpace?
A MakerSpace in the library is a place you can come and create lots of different stuff. So we have digital fabrication equipment, we have digital media production equipment and software. It's free to use, don't need a library card, open 6 days a week, and there's a full-time staff member, like one of ourselves, there to help you. So it's an awesome resource, hidden in the library, but we're here to help with anything you can create in the MakerSpace.
Neat. So if I wanted to make my epic movie, I could do that there.
Yeah, we have a green room. You can shoot scenes for your epic, and then you can go into the sound booth or reserve a MakerSpace Mac and edit it.
And same thing, if I wanted to record this very podcast, I could do it there in the MakerSpace.
Yep, we have a lot of podcasters that are getting started that utilize the MakerSpace, and we would consider it a pre-professional environment. So there is, a little bit of sound that you can hear when the CNC machine's cutting, or the audible roar when something exciting happens out in the MakerSpace. But in general, you can get some really good audio in the sound booth.
Well, how about a quick rundown of that equipment? You mentioned a CNC router machine, right?
Yep.
That's to cut out different materials like wood and anything else?
Yeah, so it stands for computer numeric controlled. So you put a block of material in. It could be wood, it could be non-ferrous metals like aluminum, it could be MDF, plywood, other types of materials. And what it does is takes a router bit and it carves out whatever your design is.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah. And then we have a laser cutter that does a similar thing, except instead of using a router bit, it uses a beam of light to cut through it, which is pretty exciting.
Right. And not necessarily just cutting through it. It can etch different materials. I have to share a personal story. I once made some homemade vanilla for all the folks in my family. I created my own logo, and I used the laser to etch the logo onto my bottle, and everybody was just crazy about that Christmas present.
Yeah.
But
Lasers are great for that. They're really personalizing objects that you make, like a cutting board or wine glasses for events. So it's great for doing that kind of work.
Do you still have a sewing machine?
We have 2 sewing machines. Yep. One is more top of the line. It's a good commercial sewing machine.
Okay.
It's meant for thinner fabrics, not really thick industrial types, but it's got pre-programmed threads. It's programmable. It's an excellent machine.
And that might be a good chance to advertise for our clothing repair workshop that we have monthly.
Oh, excellent. So monthly on a particular day?
That's a good question.
It's Thursday. Yeah, once a month.
That sounds awesome. So is that the complete rundown on the equipment? I think you have the ability to repair electronics.
Yeah, you can absolutely work on your electronics at the MakerSpace. We have a soldering station for your basic soldering, like anyone probably imagined when you hear soldering. We have other equipment like a power supply for testing your electronic designs, a reflow station to heat up that solder and be able to take out components that might be a little more sensitive. And of course, we have staff on hand to help you with your the basics of electronics in general if you really need to get started from scratch. After that, we'll be able to help you out, do research, look into the collection at the library, and do some research on the internet to get your project from just an idea on a bunch of components to a finished product. But yeah, that's what we have, and that's what we're here for.
Excellent.
We also have 3D printers, and the patrons that use it range from small children who are making school projects to adults who are doing prototypes or even like cookie cutters. There's also vinyl cutters. We also have one vinyl cutter that will cut out stickers or do iron-on, any kind of decal like that.
Wow, how fascinating. Why do we have a makerspace here at the library?
Yeah, we're always providing knowledge to our patrons, so it's another way to provide knowledge and experiences for our patron.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the equipment that we provide are cost prohibitive for the average person to purchase. And, you know, since we offer it to anybody, not just people that are in Johnson County and a library card holder, it really does break down those barriers into understanding the basics of vector drawing, 3D modeling, kind of that digital divide that exists, and you know, whether you're using it for hobby or workforce development or education, it can really help, you know, anybody using it kind of, you know, climb the ladder as far as learning new skills. And then what's really exciting is you can learn those skills, you know, those digital skills, and then apply them, and it's kind of instant gratification. So you know, you get to 3D model something and 3D print it. It's pretty cool.
I just also wanted to add that it's pretty open and less intimidating as to going to like an art studio and participating and trying to create something there. It's very open to anybody who wants to just try to make something. And that's the benefit of having it here at a public space.
Sure. Wow. And what an educational opportunity it is that you're learning these skills and really branching out and learning something new and stretching yourself. And that's what our current theme is, that is breaking free and really stepping out of yourself and trying to discover something new about yourself. So what a great service the MakerSpace is. So you've created a list, or maybe it's not a formal list, but your most frequently asked questions. And so what would you say are the most frequently asked questions in the MakerSpace or about the MakerSpace?
The one that is the hardest that we get all the time is, what is the coolest thing you've ever seen made here? Brian, Thomas.
Is that because there are just so many things that are cool? It's hard to choose?
Yeah, just when you walk in, your imagination kind of runs wild. People, you have engineers working, you have graphic designers, you have people working on analog, you know, in digital, and they're like, man, you can do anything in here. So they're always like, well, what's the coolest thing you've ever seen? And it's definitely the toughest question.
Well, I'll ask you, what is the coolest thing you've ever seen? Is it a separate answer for each one of you?
I'll go first.
Okay.
My favorite is the dog washing station that someone 3D printed adapters for like some PVC pipe to make like this mobile dog washing station, so you can connect a garden hose, have a dog washing station outside for your dog.
Wow. I'm blown away. That sounds genius.
Somebody was in just a couple weeks ago printing a urinal for their carbon fiber glider. Okay, so he was telling me that it's actually a big issue with people that do hobby flight and on gliders, because you're laying down or you're in a position that's really difficult. You're up there in the air for a long or extended period of time. You're hot because you're in an enclosed environment and you need to drink water and keep your fluids up.
Sure.
And it's really hard to manage the controls of the glider while also trying to pee. So he was telling me that this is something he may write a white paper on, and may publish, the results.
Wow.
And he was printing it and then going to go try it. So we're waiting to hear back and see how it works.
That is the most peculiar thing I've heard. And I think it's interesting, too, that of the most fun thing that's ever been printed, that's what you chose. That's fantastic. Either of you? Yeah.
Top that.
Yeah,
top
I
that.
can't top that.
All right. Of course, it's going to sound super cheesy, but we get people once in a while coming to the MakerSpace to 3D print prosthetics for kids that are still growing up. Setting someone up for a prosthetic can be pretty expensive, depending on what you need it to be. And as kids grow up, the way they outgrow shoes, they outgrow prosthetics pretty quickly as well.
Yeah.
So we try to help with that as much as we can. With that said, it's very easy to focus on what is the coolest thing to do, to see be built in the MakerSpace. I kind of like to focus on the MakerSpace community in general. And to me, the coolest thing being built there is, well, the MakerSpace community. And like I mentioned earlier, we are open to everyone as much as we can. And we will, any given time during the week, you'll see very young patrons, you'll see retired engineers or woodworkers, you'll see local artists just experimenting with art or just trying some new merch to sell. That's the coolest thing that's being built in the MakerSpace to me.
You have anything, Angelica?
I do not.
No?
I can't top the urinal. Or I think I would agree with Thomas about the best thing is like the community that's being built. You also get to witness networking that's happening between the makers.
Sure.
And their cool projects and get inspired by other people's projects as well. So.
Yeah, so all ages, right? I mean, you have kids and you have retirees and everyone in between, and there's an exchange of ideas and instructions and help. And, I think I once saw a retiree, just passing on some knowledge to, a younger maker. And I think that's just such a rich experience and great exchange of ideas.
Yeah. A lot of times it's the other way around, where the kid is teaching the retiree some skills in CAD modeling or what have you.
Yeah, and that's kind of exactly what a library is all about, exchange of ideas and helping each other learn new things. I think that's fantastic. Do you get any other frequently asked questions, or is that the main one?
Well, I think with some of our equipment, it's really popular. So our laser cutters, sometimes booked out 28 days in advance.
Wow.
And some of the questions we get are with like our CNC machine that isn't quite as popular. You can actually do a lot of the same things. So, some of those conversations we have are like, hey, you could take that design and you could actually change it a little bit for the CNC machine, and it's not booked up near as much. So it's kind of a tool that is really powerful, that we really like, that doesn't get utilized quite as much as the laser cutter, because I think there's maybe people don't understand it as much. And we're here to help. We're here to help you change your design to make it ready for another machine.
Okay. So since you're there to help, and let's say I'm a patron that I'm just curious about the MakerSpace and I've never ever done any sort of maker project, if I just walk in, would you all guide me to something to do?
Yeah, well, we'll at least give you a tour of the space and talk about what's possible on each piece of equipment and what you can do to kind of give you a broad range, and maybe you can narrow it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had anyone just walk in and just say, I'd like to do something, but I don't quite know what?
I think we pretty frequently get patrons that come in and ask what they can do, and whatever equipment is open at that time as a walk-in. We, like, for example, the walk-in 3D printer, show them Thingiverse, where it's an awesome site where you can download already pre-made 3D models that they can print themselves. So that's their first kind of quick little experience with the equipment that we have available.
That's really great to point out. So beyond the human resources, you've already identified a number of online and other resources that people can use to help them learn how to do use the equipment and make the projects that they want, right?
Yeah, and Tinkercad is another one that we encourage people that are new to 3D modeling and 3D printing to check out. It's free. It's an Autodesk product. It's a great introduction to learning how to make something simple like a keychain and kind of understanding that 3D modeling environment. And our website is probably the best place to find those resources. Obviously, coming in or calling or emailing, texting, that's great too. But the website, we list, each software that we recommend for beginners, and what is actually also included in our collection. So e-learning resources like lynda.com,
right.
What books we have for the maybe the more intense programs like SolidWorks or Adobe Premiere, kind of point you in the directions for what we have in our collection or online learning resources.
And the website is also the place where you would go to reserve the equipment. And do you have any advice for people that want to make sure that they get their slot reserved?
Yeah, just jocolibrary.org/makerspace, and there's a big reserve button, so you can click reserve, scroll through the calendar, look at the list of equipment, and choose a 2-hour block where you'd like to use the CNC and book at 9 to 11 with your name and email address. And also on that CNC page, you'll find a frequently asked questions list, so you can maybe think about your design, put it into the online program called Easel, and prepare your artwork. So
that way you can get a lot of it done before you ever get there. Okay.
Yeah.
And so are all the machines just 2-hour blocks? Okay. Very interesting. All right. So here comes a dose of sarcasm. So we're getting ready for summer. And that's your downtime, right? Snicker, snicker.
No day.
In fact, it's the opposite. So what do we have in store for summer?
So far, ever since the Johnson County Central Resource Library reopened, we would run a MakerSpace Summer Passport program at the library. For the first time this year, we'll be running that program not just at Central Resource Library, but also in 4 other branches. If I remember correctly, that's Leawood, Gardner, Monticello, and Shawnee, not necessarily in that order. And you can find all the details as well as the dates during which each branch will host a program on the library website, either very soon or maybe already.
We also have events listed on our webpage where we do have a beginner's night, so you can come in, take an hour tour of the space where we walk around as a group, talk about the equipment, answer questions. We also have a microbit. It's a microcontroller. We have a workshop on that once a month. 3D modeling, we have a 3D Thursday, Thursdays once a month, so you can come in and learn Tinkercad, and it was run by a volunteer, Jeff Newhook, who will walk you through Tinkercad, and then hopefully you'll get to print your item at the end of the class. I already mentioned clothing repair. Am I forgetting anything else?
Well, one other thing we're excited about this summer, there's a national nonprofit that is supported by the Office of Science and Technology, and that's called Nation of Makers. And they are supporting, in various ways, makerspaces like ourselves that are in maybe libraries or community colleges or universities or nonprofit, standalone, for-profit. And so we have a lot to share about what we've learned from running the Makerspace. How all the details. We get calls from libraries, either the IT department, somebody, the administrators or staff asking like, how do you guys do this? How did you start it? So there's actually a national meeting coming up, and we're sending Brian and Thomas to Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Choo choo.
To share what we've learned and learn from other spaces. So it's really cool. And it's a great organization. We're excited to learn and share So.
Well, I want to thank you all for coming by today to record for the Did You Hear podcast. And I hope this is not the last time we hear from you, because I know that everybody is thrilled about the Makerspace and we want to hear the inside stories. The place to go to learn more about the Makerspace is jocolibrary.org/Makerspace.
For more episodes of Did You Hear, go to the Johnson County Library website, jocolibrary.org/didyouhear.